Hello there and welcome to the West Ham versus Liverpool preview. It is going to be kicking off on Wednesday night and it's obviously going to be a completely changed team to the team we put out against Shrewsbury. Now, just a little bit on Shrewsbury. Obviously the draw for the fifth round came out and it does seem to be that whoever goes through out of Shrewsbury versus Liverpool will go on to face Chelsea. So congratulations Shrewsbury on going through to face Chelsea, unless, barring a miracle when the kids go and play at Anfield against Shrewsbury, it will be Shrewsbury going through. So we'll see what happens when that day comes. But yeah, anyway, let's get back on to West Ham. Now, West Ham, the last time we played West Ham at the London Stadium, it ended up being 1-1. It was 1-1. I think it was February this year, actually. February this year, it was 1-1. I remember we scored first. It was Mané scored first, and then Antonio scored from this weird free kick setup that they did that really caught us out at the time. And yeah, it finished 1-1. So yeah, I expect a little bit of a different game though this time around. Not purely just because of the situation that West Ham are in, but I feel obviously our first team will perform much better than, say, what happened at the weekend against Shrewsbury with a much changed team. I think that you'll see a better performance, a much more, and maybe a refreshed performance as well. Obviously, the Wolves game will have taken a lot out of the guys that played in that game because it was so intense, and having a week in between that game and this game for many of them. Obviously, Salah and Firmino got a little bit of a run out against Shrewsbury, but not much. And then you've got to take into consideration the injuries and stuff that West Ham seem to have. And it's a bit of a lengthy list when I'm looking at it right now. It looks like, Masuaku, Snodgrass, Fredericks, Fabianski, obviously Jack Wilshere's long-term, Yarmolenko, Felipe Anderson. There just seems to be quite a list here of players that are either injured right now, possibly could feature against Liverpool. You never know how these things go, what their injuries are actually like. Are they knocks? Who knows? But it seems to be they're dealing with quite a lot of injuries at the moment. I think they sit 17th on level points with the team in 18th. I don't know who that team is. In fact, let's just go have a quick look at the moment, actually. It is Bournemouth. So they're level on points with Bournemouth. They're actually level on points with Watford as well. So there's three teams there on 23 points. And I truly believe at the start of this season, West Ham weren't looking to be in a relegation fight, but this is where they've ended up. Obviously, with they've got two different managers this season: one Pellegrini, one David Moyes. Maybe, I don't know, the squads aren't really working together, the players aren't really working together, the systems and such like that. I think they got a little bit of a bounce when Moyes first came in. I think his first game he scored 4 goals or something like that. Since then, hasn't really done a great deal. They've got 6 wins, 5 draws, and 12 losses. From their 23 games so far. This is their game in hand as well as our game in hand. On the flip side of that, in the Premier League, for us, 23 games, 22 wins and 1 draw, 67 points from a possible 69. Incredible run by Liverpool, it must be said, obviously, as we all know as Liverpool fans as well. Now, in terms of us and injuries, we've got James Milner, Shaqiri, obviously Nathaniel Klein long-term, and Sadio Mané, hamstring strain is what it is listed as. Still don't really know the extent of the injury. Now, the only thing that I've seen is that they apparently say it's not going to be months, it could just be weeks, which could be okay, because we've got West Ham, we've got Southampton at the weekend, and then I think it's the break that everyone's all kicking off about at the moment. And then, obviously, it just depends how we're going to line up. Now, I want to go back and have a look at our lineup against Wolves last week and just see what differences we might do in the game against West Ham. Now, I fully believe, looking at that lineup, we will pretty much go with the exact same lineup. I'll run you through it. Alisson, Andy Robertson, Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez, Trent, Alexander-Arnold, Gini Wijnaldum, Henderson, Chamberlain, Firmino, Salah. Obviously, Mané was in that game. This was the game that he got substituted in because he was injured. And I think it was Minamino that came in for him. I would fully expect to see Minamino start in this game and continue his progress that some people don't. I'm not saying that some people don't see the progress that Minamino is making in game, but I think that he is starting to progress in games. He's starting to do well. He had a good first half against Shrewsbury, by all accounts, in my opinion. Sadio Mané obviously is a very key player for us in that position that he plays. It's a difficult one to get someone else in there to play that game, play that role, or in that role, I should say, that he does. He does it so well. He's done it for a good number of years now. Obviously, we're going to be missing him for a little bit, but hopefully not too long. But I think Minamino can come in and do a good job there. Other players that could do a good job for us in the place of Sadio Mané could be someone like Curtis Jones. Could do really well for us. He's shone in every game that he's played for us so far, especially obviously in the Cups where he's featured prominently. So there's an option there as well. And with regards to Matip, Lovren and Fabinho, the guys that I singled out in the last video, or the video where I reviewed the Shrewsbury result, they haven't done enough to shift Joe Gomez out of the team, or in my opinion, any of the midfield that featured against Wolves. In terms of Fabinho, hasn't done enough yet, and they still need to be working to get their fitness levels up and everything like that to get them right up to where they need to be to compete in the Premier League team. That is my opinion, but let me know what you think in the comments below. I personally feel he'll possibly go for... I don't actually know. He'll probably go for Minamino, I imagine. Just purely maybe just on the pace and his, and everything like that, but... And just to get him more integrated into the squad, maybe have a good game against West Ham or something like that as well. It also depends on the system that they decide to play against West Ham, because with Mané being out, normally obviously we seem to play with like a 4-3-3. The front three speak for themselves. Is it a case of where does Minamino seem to shine more? Is he going to be more of like an in behind the striker or something like that? Do they want to change the system to accommodate for that? We can play a system like that, which is the 4-2-3-1, which might then see Divock Origi come in for someone as well, or you'd end up seeing, I don't know, maybe then if you played 4-2-3-1, you could have obviously Salah on the right hand side, you could put Ox in like that middle bit just behind the striker, you put Minamino on the left hand side, or you can have Oxlade-Chamberlain on the left or right, whichever, Firmino up front. It depends what they want to do, but I think that slowly but surely they will integrate Minamino into the squad. You'll start to see more of an impact when he gets used to working in the team. And working in the Premier League as well. But I think you'll see obviously the much stronger team that we can put out, the team that the FA and everyone want us to put out in the replay against Shrewsbury. I'll comment more on that as the week goes on, probably after the West Ham game, if I'm being honest, because there's been comments from Accrington Stanley, chairman and stuff like that, and literally as soon as I read it, the only thing that came to my mind was Accrington Stanley? Who are they? Exactly. Doesn't matter, does it? Anyone that doesn't know that, you need to go and check out the Nesquik cereal advert from years ago. Just type in Nesquik cereal, Accrington Stanley, it'll come up. Have a laugh. Anyway, how do I see this game going down? Now, obviously, some people don't like it, but I always think that we're going to have a tough game. I think that any game in the Premier League is a tough game because it can be a tough, no matter what sort of troubles a team like a West Ham or a bottom 6, bottom 3 team, whatever they could be having, whatever troubles they could be having, if they're struggling for goals or if they're struggling for, if they're struggling for assists and all this sort of stuff, and defensively they're having problems as well, and maybe they're having problems with injuries and stuff like that, sometimes it'll come to a big game like this and they'll turn it on and they can flip a switch and they can start trying to compete with you. And I just feel I never take a game for granted. I never take a game for granted and turn around and think, oh, we're going to smack these lot 4-0, blah, 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 all this sort of business. I said the same about Shrewsbury. I said that we would win that game 2-0. The fact that we were 2-0 up was pretty fortunate in some ways, but that it was also going to be a tough game, and it was a tough game. Now, this is a different team. Our first team is much, much different to the team that we put out against Shrewsbury, let's be honest. When we get the likes of Jordan Henderson, Gini Wijnaldum, in that midfield, Oxlade-Chamberlain as well, in that midfield, against a midfield for West Ham that is very disjointed at best and lacks a lot of creativity. Also seems to lack a lot of fight, heart and desire. The only person that seems to show that is the guy they call Mr. West Ham, which is Mark Noble. And again, he's getting into his twilight years. His legs, sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not there. It depends on how, I don't want to say how up for it he is, but how up for it his ability is on that day. If you know what I mean. You know, like if he's got the energy to keep going, and obviously I think they're playing him in like all the games that they can, like the cup game they played against West Brom. Like if you take their last 5 games, West Ham, they've won 1, which was against Gillingham. They've drawn 1, don't know who that was against, and they've lost 3 as well. They're not in a good run of form right now. They're level on points with the team that are in the relegation zone, 2 teams that are in the relegation zone. And it could be a very, you know, their goal difference is, I think, is the only thing that's saving them from being in the relegation zone right now, which is -11. Now, say if things go terribly for them tonight, or on Wednesday, I should say, things go terribly for them, and they have a couple of goals put past them, which, you know, that 1-1 at the London Stadium earlier this year, put that one aside. In the last 3 fixtures before that, we put 4 past them. There was a 4-1 and I think 2 4-0s. You know, if something like that similar happens to West Ham, then they could quite easily see themselves shift into the bottom 3 on goal difference. That could happen because Bournemouth are on -14 and they are on -11, and it could actually be one of those things where Bournemouth benefit from goal difference, and they can maybe start their climb out of the bottom 3. You see, Watford, they seem to have the quality at times. Yes, they lost, I think, against Wolves recently, but they've got the quality and the fight and determination in their team to seem to get themselves out of the bottom 3. It's one of those things at the moment for West Ham. It's a difficult time for them. But I still anticipate that it's going to be a difficult game for Liverpool. And some people might just be like, dude, what the hell? Like, we can slap these guys aside and all this lot and we could go 4-5-0. I appreciate that. I totally appreciate, you know, that sort of thought process. But my thought process is that it's going to be difficult. Could be difficult. And I anticipate it to be. It's going to be different as well. We haven't seen, you know, obviously apart from when Minamino came on for Mané, we haven't really seen a Premier League game start without Mané for a very long time. And I think we all know how key Mané is to the way that we play. And Minamino is going to have a tough job filling that role. But we've just got to support him, support the whole team. And I think that we can get the victory against West Ham. Difficult game, I admit it, I think it will be. But I think we can control the game, especially I think we should be winning that midfield battle. If we don't win that midfield battle, something's going wrong. Because we should win that midfield battle, definitely, 100%. And I always say, you win your midfield battles, you've got much bigger chance of winning the game. And I think that that's what we can do, and I think that's what, you know, I think Jordan Henderson will actually, again, like he has done recently, will really shine and run the show. And I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory for Liverpool. Maybe stretch it to 3-0, but I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory and a clean sheet for Liverpool. That's my prediction anyway. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Who do you think is going to start? How do you think the game's going to go? And what do you think the score is going to be at the end of the day? And obviously, if we do go on and win this one, even if it's a 1-0 or whatever it is, then we end up actually being 19 points clear at the top of the table. And that is nothing to be sniffed at. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do like it and subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you once again, and I will catch you later.